Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode. She sold it for $1, but it was worth $1 million in the end. She could only try to get in touch with the person who bought it and see if he would help. She felt like her heart was being ripped out of her chest as she watched the scene on TV. She was so close to getting $1 million. She could have given up work. She could have gone everywhere. But for a pitiful dollar, someone had bought her hopes. Natalia Burns, who was from New Jersey, was very close to her family. So, when her father died of lung cancer and her mother died a few years later, she felt a deep loneliness that she couldn't even describe. She also had to do something she didn't like. Natalia was an only child, and her parents left her everything in their will. She had no choice but to sit in the house she grew up in and go through all of their things. Things that had been passed down from grandparents were also included. She fell to her knees and cried again when she saw the first box. Her mother had kept all of her old schoolwork. She sat in the middle of the quiet house and tried not to break down completely. How could she decide what to keep, what to throw away, and what to sell? The first answer would be the first domino in a crazy chain of things that would happen. Natalia chose to start with things that were easy and had no value, like bedsheets, cooking tools, and food. The first step would be to hold a yard sale and try to sell anything useful. Then she found a box with quilts and blankets in it. The first one was a beautiful blanket that had been sewn by hand. She remembered seeing something about a woman finishing a cross-stitch blanket that she had bought at an estate sale. She didn't know much about making things like this. The only thing she was sure of was that it took a long time to make these things. But the next one was the one that would ruin her future. It was a simple handmade quilt-like blanket. She didn't think it was very pretty, so she put it in the bin where everything was sold for $1. People didn't seem to notice the sale even when it was going on. That was until one man saw it and went pale. "Only a buck?" he asked, holding it tightly. Natalia said, yes, but she was already wondering if she had said the wrong thing. The customer quickly pulled out $1 and ran off, leaving her confused about what had just happened. She didn't find out the truth that she had given away a fortune for a whole year. It was a show of old things. During that scene, she saw the blanket right in the middle. The man and the host talked excitedly about how important the find was in history and how much it was worth. The fact that the worth was believed to be $1 million hit her right in the face. What was she going to do about it? That was the big question. Natalie looked at the TV and wondered if she was really the type of person who would call the customer and tell him how he had taken advantage of an estate sale. Still, she was the one who picked the price at random. It took her days of trouble to find an answer. Even though a bright and interesting future was lost, there was still good that could come out of everything. She called and emailed him many times before she finally found him. Natalie's email was short and easy to understand. She was only interested in one thing. Even though she had made a big mistake, she told the man how lucky he was. She wasn't interested in money. She only asked if he would think about giving even a small amount of his new money to a cancer charity of his choosing, since more than one member of her family had died from the disease. But his answer was not what she thought it would be. Even though the man said that people were coming out of the woodwork to ask for money, hers was the only request that made sense. And since he knew he had gotten a good deal, he was happy to do what she asked. That wasn't all, though. She already got more than she had hoped for when she gave $50,000 to a fund for cancer research. Natalie wanted to do something to remember her father and her family and to help herself get better after a series of painful losses. The gift might help other people escape going through what she did. But the quick check was what made her fall over. $20,000 to go on a trip her family would have loved and do whatever else would make her happy. Natalie held the paper in her hands and cried her eyes out. At the same time, she felt a new spark of hope for people. That's it for today, friends. Please let us know what you think about this story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for more amazing stories.